I talked with you and some of your students about 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember at that time they were pretty much bought into the idea that Russia was a bad nation on a bad track. And I wonder if that's changed any in the last 3 or 4 years.
You know, it's getting worse, Sharon. And, you know, as I said, I've been here for long enough to see the waves, you know, the characteristics of the new waves of students who are coming. And I believe that in the last couple of years, students who come, and again, we do the cream of the crop here, not because, you know, some of them do come from Ivy League schools, but when I say cream of the crop, I don't mean the name on their diplomas, I mean their life experience. But the problem is that they're so brainwashed by propaganda, you know, that basically this depiction of Russia in black and white, you know, the creation of what is named by some of my colleagues Putin land. You know, what Putin depicted as this dark night, you know, the destroyer of Russian democracy, and nothing else in Russia, as if there are no other issues in Russia, you know, there are no problems. And so they come with this preconceived notion of Russia because it's being led by the man who is not worth even being considered as a real leader. It's not the country that we can work with or live with. So it's much harder to try to change that preconceived notion.
And so when they come to you, where have they got most of the information? From mainstream media?
Media, definitely. Media is what is feeding them. And because, again, this assault, media assault on Russia didn't start today, you know, or a year or two ago. You know, in fact, there are studies now that show that those waves of anti-Russian propaganda that were overwhelming in the U.S. media for almost 150 years, for over 100 years, you know, be happy to share the names of the studies with you, you know. I mean, these students in particular, you know, because it's been so ideological, the coverage has been so ideological, you know, they were deprived of any calm, rational, pragmatic approach to this country. And this is what we must do to fill up that vacuum.
I believe a Dr. Fogel song.
Right,
written a book.
that's one of the studies. Right. Then I always recommend for Stephen Cohen's The Veiled Crusade, you know, which is a great study. And, you know, those studies exist, but again, you know, you need to be determined to find out. Unfortunately, with this black and white coverage, you know, they just simply give up. You know, particularly this fall, of course, you know, when I came into my classrooms, I teach 3 classes, in students, it was early September, and of course it was right after the war in Georgia, and it was a disaster, you know, and it was a disaster because the, you know, students just would not believe. I could see that dream of disbelief, you know, it doesn't matter what you tell them. By now it changed. You know, I have a student who is a journalist from Iceland who just did a study and coverage, and so she did her presentation yesterday. So it's very interesting to see how the titles of publications were listed and so on and so forth, you know, how this machine of propaganda was working. But again, you know, I'm hopeful, Sharon. You know, I really feel like we have to work very hard, you know, we have to think hard. And my investment mostly is the investment into my students, because I really believe in this time in the classroom, and I believe, I'm not trying to convince them. I always say, it's none of my business to make you like Russia or dislike Russia. That's not why I'm here. I want you to understand Russia. You know, you can reserve your ethical judgment for yourselves, you know, but let's look at the facts. Let's look at the data, you know, let's look at what sociologists tell us, not political scientists, let's look at what historians tell us, and try to understand. And then, you know, you're welcome to take this knowledge wherever you want to take.